You think everything is going fine. She laughs at your jokes. She texts you first. She makes plans for the weekend. Then almost overnight, something changes. Her replies get shorter. She's suddenly busy. The spark in her eyes fades, and you're left wondering what went wrong. You replay every conversation, every date, every moment, searching for clues. Was it something you said? Something you did? Or is it just the way things go? The truth is, most men never see it coming. They're blindsided when a woman who once seemed so invested suddenly pulls away. But what if I told you there's a pattern? A set of reasons hidden in plain sight that explain exactly why women lose interest. And what if I told you that understanding these reasons could change everything for you? Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth. Attraction is not a guarantee. Just because she was into you yesterday doesn't mean she'll be into you tomorrow. Women are emotional creatures, and their feelings can shift quickly. Sometimes for reasons that have nothing to do with you. But more often than not, there are warning signs, subtle shifts in the dynamic, that most men ignore until it's too late. The first reason women lose interest is predictability. In the beginning, everything is new. Every text, every date, every touch is an adventure. But as time goes on, routine sets in. You fall into patterns, same restaurants, same conversations, same jokes. What was once exciting becomes expected. And here's the kicker. Women crave novelty. They want to feel alive, to be surprised, to experience the thrill of the unknown. When you become too predictable, you become invisible. She stops seeing you as the man who swept her off her feet and starts seeing you as just another part of her routine. But it's not just about what you do, it's about who you are. The second reason women lose interest is complacency. In the early days, you put in effort. You dress well, you plan dates, you listen intently. But as the relationship settles, it's easy to get comfortable. You stop trying as hard. You assume she'll always be there. But here's the truth. Women notice when you stop putting in effort. They notice when you stop growing, when you stop challenging yourself, when you stop being the man they fell for. Complacency is the silent killer of attraction. It tells her you're no longer invested, not just in her, but in yourself. Contrast that with the third reason, emotional unavailability. This one is tricky because it often hides behind a mask of strength. You think you're being stoic, that you're protecting her from your problems. But what she really wants is connection. She wants to feel like she knows you, like she's part of your world. When you shut her out, when you keep your feelings locked away, she starts to feel alone, even when you're right next to her. Emotional distance is like a slow leak in a tire. At first, it's barely noticeable, but over time it drains the relationship of its energy, its excitement, its intimacy. And then there's validation seeking. This is the fourth reason women lose interest, and it's one that trips up even the most confident men. You start off strong, but as the relationship progresses, you find yourself needing her approval. You fish for compliments. You get jealous when she talks to other guys. You make her the center of your world. At first, she might find it flattering, but eventually it becomes suffocating. She wants a partner, not a project. She wants a man who knows his worth, who doesn't need constant reassurance. When you make her your only source of validation, you put pressure on her to be everything for you. And that's a burden no one wants to carry. Let's not forget lack of ambition. Women are drawn to men with purpose, with drive, with a vision for their lives. When you lose your edge, when you stop chasing your goals, she starts to lose interest. It's not about money or status. It's about passion. It's about waking up every day with a sense of mission, a desire to grow, to improve, to make something of yourself. When you settle for less, when you stop striving, she feels it. She starts to wonder if you're the man she thought you were, or if you've given up on yourself. But perhaps the most shocking truth of all is this: women lose interest when they feel taken for granted. It's easy to assume she'll always be there, that her love is unconditional. But love is a living thing. It needs to be nurtured, fed, cared for. When you stop appreciating her, when you stop noticing the little things she does, when you stop making her feel special, she starts to drift away. She wants to feel chosen every day. She wants to know that you see her, that you value her, that you're grateful for her presence in your life. So what's the solution? It's not about grand gestures or dramatic changes. It's about awareness. It's about paying attention to the subtle shifts in the dynamic, the little signs that something is off. It's about staying curious, staying engaged, staying invested, not just in her but in yourself. It's about being the man she fell for and then some. It's about growing together, challenging each other, keeping the spark alive. The truth is, women don't lose interest overnight. It's a gradual process, a series of small disappointments, unmet needs, unspoken resentments. But if you're willing to look honestly at yourself, to own your part in the story, to make the changes that matter, you can turn things around. You can reignite the spark, rebuild the connection, and create a relationship that's stronger, deeper, more passionate than ever before. Let's go even deeper, because the reasons women lose interest aren't always obvious. Sometimes it's not about what you did wrong, but about what you stopped doing right. Relationships are living, breathing things. They need attention, energy, and intention. When you let things slide even just a little, the distance grows. And here's the part most men miss. Women are incredibly intuitive. They pick up on the smallest changes. The tone of your voice, the way you look at them, the energy you bring into a room. If you're checked out, even for a moment, she feels it. One of the most overlooked reasons women lose interest is emotional safety. In the beginning, you made her feel like she could be herself. She could laugh, cry, dream, and be vulnerable without fear of judgment. But over time, if you start to criticize, dismiss, or minimize her feelings, she'll start to close off. She'll stop sharing her thoughts, her dreams, her worries. She'll build walls not because she wants to, but because she has to protect herself. When a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe, she starts to detach. She may not even realize it's happening, but the connection starts to fade. Another subtle but powerful reason is lack of presence. In today's world, it's easy to get distracted. By work, by your phone, by the endless stream of notifications. But when you're with her, she wants your full attention. She wants to feel like she's the most important person in the room. If you're always half listening, always checking your phone, always thinking about something else, she'll start to feel invisible. And when a woman feels invisible, she starts to wonder if she matters to you at all. Let's talk about communication. It's not just about talking, it's about truly listening. When she shares her thoughts, her feelings, her experiences, she wants to feel heard. She wants to know that you care, that you're interested, that you value her perspective. If you dismiss her concerns, if you interrupt, if you make it all about you, she'll start to shut down. She'll stop sharing, stop opening up, stop investing in the relationship. Communication is the bridge that keeps you connected. When that bridge breaks, the distance grows. There's also the issue of emotional labor. In many relationships, women take on the role of caretaker, planning dates, remembering anniversaries, keeping the relationship alive. But if she feels like she's the only one putting in effort, she'll start to resent it. She wants a partner, not a passenger. She wants to feel like you're in this together, that you're both invested, both working to make things better. When the balance tips, when she feels like she's carrying the weight alone, her interest starts to wane. Now let's address intimacy. It's not just about sex, it's about connection. It's about the little touches, the lingering glances, the inside jokes. It's about making her feel desired, wanted, cherished. When intimacy fades, when you stop making her feel special, she starts to wonder if you still care. She starts to question her own worth, her own desirability. And when a woman starts to doubt herself, she starts to pull away from you. But here's the most shocking truth of all. Women lose interest when they feel like you've stopped growing. Stagnation is the enemy of attraction. She wants to see you striving, learning, evolving. She wants to be inspired by your ambition, your curiosity, your drive. When you settle for the status quo, when you stop pushing yourself, she starts to lose respect. And when respect goes, attraction isn't far behind. Contrast this with the man who never stops growing. The man who's always learning, always improving, always reaching for more. The man who challenges her, who inspires her, who makes her want to be better. That's the man she can't get enough of. That's the man she stays interested in year after year. So what can you do? Start by being honest with yourself. Are you showing up fully? Or are you just going through the motions? Are you listening or just waiting for your turn to speak? Are you growing or are you stuck in the same old patterns? The answers to these questions will tell you everything you need to know. If you want to keep her interest, you have to keep investing. In her, in yourself, in the relationship. You have to keep the spark alive, not with grand gestures, but with daily acts of love and attention. You have to make her feel seen, heard, valued. You have to be present, be engaged, be intentional. And here's the good news. It's never too late to turn things around. Even if you've let things slide, even if you've grown distant, even if she's started to lose interest, you can change the dynamic. You can reignite the spark. You can rebuild the connection. It starts with awareness, with honesty, with a willingness to do the work. Remember, women don't lose interest overnight. It's a gradual process, a slow drift. But if you catch it early, if you pay attention to the signs, if you're willing to make the effort, you can bring her back. You can remind her why she fell for you in the first place. You can create a relationship that's not just good but great. So don't ignore the signs. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't settle for a relationship that's just okay. You deserve more. She deserves more. And together you can build something extraordinary. Now, let's get brutally honest about the patterns that play out in so many relationships. You see, most men don't realize they're losing her interest until it's already gone. They think everything is fine because there's no big fight, no dramatic exit. But the truth is, most relationships don't end with a bang. They end with a whisper, a slow, silent drift that's almost invisible until it's too late to turn back. Think about the early days. You were attentive, curious, and full of energy. You wanted to know everything about her. You asked questions, you listened. You made her feel like the only woman in the world. But as time went on, life got busy. Work, stress, routines, and responsibilities crept in. You started to take her presence for granted. Maybe you stopped noticing the way she changed her hair or the effort she put into planning a date. Maybe you stopped saying thank you for the little things, or you let your phone steal your attention during dinner. These small lapses add up, and over time, they send a message. You're not as important to me as you used to be. Here's the contrast. While you're slipping into autopilot, she's still craving connection. She wants to feel chosen, not just once but every day. She wants to know that you see her, that you appreciate her, that you're still excited to be with her. When that feeling fades, she starts to look elsewhere. Not always for another man, but for meaning, for excitement, for validation. She might throw herself into work, into friendships, into hobbies. She might become more distant, more irritable, more withdrawn, and you're left wondering what happened. Let's talk about emotional neglect. It's not about being cruel or unkind. It's about being absent even when you're physically present. It's about failing to notice when she's hurting or brushing off her concerns because you're tired or distracted. It's about letting the relationship run on autopilot, assuming that love will keep things together without any effort. But love is like a fire. It needs fuel, it needs attention, it needs to be tended. When you stop feeding the fire, it goes out. Another reason women lose interest is lack of shared growth. In the beginning, you were both growing together, learning, exploring, building a future. But if you stop growing as a couple, if you stop setting goals, dreaming big, or supporting each other's ambitions, the relationship starts to stagnate. She wants to feel like you're on a journey together, not just living parallel lives. When you stop dreaming together, she starts to wonder if you're really a team, or just two people sharing a space. Let's not ignore the impact of resentment. Over time, small grievances can build up. Unresolved arguments, unmet needs, broken promises. If you don't address these issues, they fester. She might not say anything at first, but the resentment grows. She starts to pull away, to protect herself from more disappointment. The emotional distance widens, and with it, her interest fades. Now here's a hard truth. Women lose interest when they feel like you're not growing as a man. This isn't about money or status. It's about character. Are you challenging yourself? Are you facing your fears, pursuing your goals, becoming a better version of yourself? Or are you stuck in the same patterns, making the same excuses, avoiding the hard work of self-improvement? She wants to be inspired by you. She wants to feel proud to stand by your side. When you stop striving, she starts to lose respect. And when respect is gone, attraction quickly follows. Contrast this with the man who never stops evolving. The man who's always learning, always pushing himself, always reaching for more. The man who supports her dreams, who encourages her growth, who celebrates her successes. That's the man she can't help but admire. That's the man she stays interested in year after year. But let's be real, sometimes, despite your best efforts, she still loses interest. Maybe she's dealing with her own issues, her own insecurities, her own fears. Maybe she's not ready for the kind of relationship you want. Maybe the timing just isn't right. And that's okay. You can't control her feelings, but you can control how you show up. You can control your growth, your integrity, your commitment to being the best man you can be. So what do you do when you sense her interest fading? You don't panic. You don't beg, plead, or chase. You don't try to win her back with grand gestures or empty promises. Instead, you focus on yourself. You double down on your growth, your purpose, your passion. You become the kind of man who's magnetic, not because you need her, but because you're complete on your own. And here's the paradox. The more you invest in yourself, the more attractive you become, not just to her but to everyone around you. You radiate confidence, purpose, and strength. You become a leader, a creator, a force of nature. And whether she stays or goes, you win, because you're not defined by her interest, you're defined by your own journey. So if you're watching this and wondering why women lose interest, remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about growing, evolving, and showing up with intention. It's about making her feel seen, heard, and valued. And most importantly, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. Not for her, but for you. Let's bring it all together. Because understanding why women lose interest isn't just about saving a relationship. It's about transforming yourself and how you show up in the world. The truth is, every man will face moments of doubt, moments when he wonders if he's enough, moments when he fears losing the woman he loves. But the men who thrive, who keep the spark alive, are the ones who never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop paying attention. Imagine this. Months or even years have passed since you first noticed her pulling away. Maybe you tried to ignore the signs, hoping things would fix themselves. Maybe you tried to win her back with gifts or promises, only to find that nothing seemed to work. Maybe you blamed her, or maybe you blamed yourself. But now you see things differently. You realize that relationships are not static. They're dynamic, ever-changing, and they require effort from both sides. You start to notice the patterns, the way she lights up when you're truly present, when you listen without judgment, when you support her dreams as fiercely as your own, the way she softens when you show vulnerability, when you let her in, when you share your fears and hopes, the way she leans in when you're passionate about your life, when you're chasing your goals, when you're living with purpose. These are the moments that keep her interested, that keep her invested, that keep her choosing you day after day. But you also recognize the warning signs, the distance that grows when you get complacent, when you stop trying, when you let routine take over, the resentment that builds when you don't address issues, when you sweep problems under the rug, when you avoid difficult conversations, the boredom that creeps in when you stop growing, when you settle for good enough, when you lose sight of your own potential. These are the moments when she starts to drift, when her interest starts to fade, when the relationship starts to unravel. So what's the solution? It's not about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about being aware, being intentional, being willing to do the work. It's about showing up every day with curiosity, with gratitude, with a willingness to grow. It's about making her feel seen, heard, and valued, not just with words but with actions. It's about investing in yourself, in your passions, in your purpose, because the more you grow, the more you inspire her to grow with you. And here's the most powerful truth of all. When you become the best version of yourself, you don't just keep her interest, you attract the right kind of love. You attract a partner who wants to grow with you, who challenges you, who supports you, who celebrates your victories and stands by you in your struggles. You create a relationship that's not just about comfort, but about adventure, about discovery, about becoming more together than you could ever be alone. But let's be honest, sometimes, despite your best efforts, things still don't work out. Sometimes she loses interest for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Maybe she's on her own journey. Maybe she's facing her own battles. Maybe she's not ready for the kind of love you have to offer. And that's okay, because your worth isn't defined by her interest. Your value isn't determined by whether she stays or goes. You are enough, just as you are. So if you find yourself in a place where she's losing interest, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't beg. Instead, take a step back. Reflect on who you are, on what you want, on where you're going. Invest in yourself. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who challenge you, who inspire you. Pursue your passions, chase your dreams. Live your life with purpose and intention. Because the more you love your life, the more attractive you become, not just to her but to everyone around you. And if she comes back, if she rediscovers her interest, welcome her with open arms, but only if she's willing to grow with you, to invest in the relationship, to build something real together. And if she doesn't, let her go with grace. Trust that the right person will see your value, will appreciate your effort, will choose you for who you are. Remember, the shocking truth about why women lose. Interest isn't about some secret formula or magic trick. It's about presence, growth, and connection. It's about being the kind of man who never stops learning, never stops loving, never stops striving to be better. It's about creating a relationship that's alive, that's dynamic, that's built on mutual respect and shared dreams. So don't ignore the signs. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Don't give up on yourself or on love. The journey isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Because when you show up fully, when you invest in yourself and your relationship, when you choose growth over comfort, you create a love that lasts. A love that inspires, that endures, that keeps both of you coming back for more. You have the power to change the story. You have the power to keep her interest, to build a relationship that's strong, passionate, and fulfilling. It starts with you. It starts today. Don't ignore this truth. Embrace it, live it, and watch your life transform.